never seen him here. Who is that one? But like, I'm not going alone. Jake is coming too. And like, wow. And we're going to get married. My family, whoa, are you pregnant? It was this one place that I felt such peace visiting and walking around that I was like, I've got to come back to this place.
Okay, so for people who are watching and don't know you, please introduce yourself and tell us your story briefly. How did you end up here?
Wow, how I ended up here. Alright, so I'm a Brazilian journalist actually, and I've also been teaching English for over 11 years now, or almost 11 years now. So I was working in Brazil. It was my last year of journalism school, and I got an invitation to come teach here at a very small private school. And I was like, wait, what? Mongolia? Like, where is that? You know, I mean, we don't have any political relationship with Mongolia. Geographically, we're totally, in opposite parts of the world. There's no relationship. So to be honest, in South America, we don't study this part of Asia as much as we study North America, as we study Europe. So all I knew was it was really far. I had heard about Genghis Khan because it was in our history books briefly. But that year, when they invited me to come, I was actually going to work in the Olympic Games in Brazil. It was in Rio, 2016. This is my chance, I always had a really easy relationship with people. Getting to start a conversation was always super easy. So I believed something really good, like professionally speaking, would come out of the games. So I told this school, like, yes, we can talk more about it, but I don't want to make any commitments, especially because they needed me here in September, when your school year starts. In Brazil, our school year ends in December, because, it's from January to December. So I couldn't come. I was finishing my thesis. I had to finish writing my work. And I told them, if you can wait for me until December, that's a possibility. So they're like, well, but the school year starts in September. We're going to try and find a teacher, until you can come. And I was like, sure. It was like in the back of my mind, but it wasn't a priority. So in the games, actually, I did get what I wanted, which was an offer from like the corresponding Brazilian ESPN channel to be a producer for one show. And I was like, yes, that's what I wanted. I really wanted to work with sports journalism. This is happening. Yes, let's go for it. But then a couple days later, I was working mainly in the Olympic Village, which is like the house of the athletes. So it's where they eat, it's where they exercise, they go to the doctor, they just hang out. And there in the Olympic Village, even though it's like their resting time, they are still all dressed up with their sponsors. So, like Adidas everywhere, Nike, Lacoste for France. It was like a fashion show pretty much in the Olympic Village. But then as I was going to have lunch with a friend, I saw this, group of people who had their eyes a little different than what we are used to in Brazil. I was like, wow, where are they from? It was very plain. There wasn't, like sponsors all over. So that caught my attention. It was like plain white and I couldn't see what the name was. And then as they passed by, goosebumps. Every time I tell this story, I get the goosebumps. As they passed by, I read Mongolia on the back of their jersey. And that, see, again, goosebumps if I could show you guys. Instantly, I grabbed my friend. I was like, Mongolia. I was kind of in shock. I was like, Mongolia. And I was like, fine, whatever. Mongolia. I was like, no. You don't understand. Mongolia. And then I told him the story about the school inviting me to come, about the TV inviting me to work for them. And it was like, oh my God, what are you going to do? And I told him, dude, my heart was racing in such a strong way that it was sending me a message very clearly, go. And I'm the kind of person who needs to go and fail and then go back home, then never go and keep wondering, like what if? So I talked to my parents, was like, this happened, and I'm like, what are we gonna do? They knew my dream was working for that TV, sports TV channel. So I talked to this school, and I was like, if you guys can wait for me until December, I'm there. And they pulled some strings here and there. They found someone to continue teaching for that remaining time. And then I arrived here January 28th, 2017. That's how I came here.
That's the year we met actually.
Correct.
In August, I think August.
Was it August or July?
July, I think August.
No, August. Yeah, August. You're right.
Through
Because there
our
were the mini Nadam games, yeah.
yeah, through our mutual friend
Marcelo.
and we went to Tirilj.
We did. Oh man, it was so fun.
It was
so fun.
long time ago.
Long time ago. I can't believe it's been 4 years almost already.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So in terms of culture, Brazil and Mongolia couldn't be more different, right? So what was the biggest like culture shock for you when you come to Mongolia first time? Like culture shock.
Wow. Culture shock. I think for me the biggest culture shock was not really adjusting to the people's flexibility in time for an appointment. For like let's say meet up somewhere at 6 p.m. and people will come up like 6:30, 6:40. And for me that was a huge like, oh, because like I'm not saying it's right or wrong, it's just culturally speaking, it's just different. In Brazil, people are late, but I myself am a very punctual person, so the people around me, they were used to being on time, at work or for hanging out with friends or for whatever we wanted to do together. But then I came here, and then like it was hard for me to adjust. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, I'm just saying it was really different. So adjusting to this flexibility of, time, that was really hard. But now I think I'm used to it.
So in my last video, I explained the mindset of Mongolians. Because of our nomadic like culture, people are generally laid back and just take it easy, and and because of that, some things for like timing, they tend to get like late for something. For example, in the countryside, there's only two time, before afternoon and after afternoon. So, this kind of stuff.
That's what I heard. Yeah, on my first year, a coworker, she was telling me, Milena, you gotta understand that we have a nomadic background, and for us, someone will tell us, hey, I'm gonna visit your house. What time? Before sundown. So before sundown is such a long time. But then for me, my mind was like, yes, but now we have, watches, we have our phones where we can see the time. So like, and it just proved to me how intrinsically connected the history is to nowadays. So that's beautiful. In a way, that's beautiful because it's a heritage that you guys are still preserving somehow.
I also thought that maybe Brazilians could be similar because I watch TV and Brazilians are like dancing and singing, going to the beach. So maybe I thought we are similar mindset. Is it like true or not?
I think it is not okay to put Brazil into a box, because Brazil is just huge, right? It's like Russia. It's just gigantic with tons of different. We were colonies of Portugal, but we had tons of different cultures coming into Brazil. The very south, for example, had Europeans coming, so it looks a completely different country. So in that area, people are even more strict on their timing, for example. But up more like to the northeast, not so much. So I would say it really depends on where you are. But again, for my area, for my region, for the people that I was on a daily life, no, we had our fun. We knew how to enjoy life, but also we had the commitment to, like work, to responsibilities. So I think we have to look individually rather than as a whole, because Brazil is just too big and too diverse.
So I'm a football fan, and I know some Brazilian teams like Cruzeiro, Santos, something like that.
Look at that!
Yeah, yeah. Do Brazilians know Mongolia, or what's the general attitude? If I meet just random Brazilians and I'm from Mongolia, what would their reaction,
Wow, that's a great question. I think after I moved here, I had a friend whose dad said Milena helped to put Mongolia on the map, which meant like a lot of Brazilians don't know about Mongolia, you know? Like Brazil has more than 300 million people versus 3 million people in Mongolia, you know? So as I was saying earlier, there is no political relationship especially, which is what makes people know about another, you know, country a bit more. It's not that Mongolia doesn't matter. It's just that Mongolia is not connected to Brazil in a closer way as other countries are. So if you go to someone and say, I'm from Mongolia, they're going to be so curious to ask more, what is your lifestyle? You know, like, how do you guys live there? And before I came, there were a couple of people who thought they knew about Mongolia. And they're like, Mongolia is like this and this and that, talking about, you know, the nomadic part of it. And when I came here, there was blue sky, there was Shangri-La, there were so many beautiful modern buildings. I'm like, yeah, it's not entirely how they thought it was. But again, because maybe since it's not so close in relationship, people will just listen to, you know, ideas here and there and make up what they think it is rather than researching, rather than going for the source of information. So I think if you go to Brazil and say I'm from Mongolia, you're going to get a lot of questions asked.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's talk about your husband. You are Mongolian daughter-in-law, and please tell us your story. Like, how did you two meet, and you know, your love story.
It's a very sweet story for me. I kind of had given up on love for years in life. I had been engaged before, and you know, calling off a wedding is just really sad. You know, breaking your plans apart is just really heartbreaking. So I was like, yeah, this love story is not for me anymore. So I come to Mongolia, and then 6-7 months later, I'm a Christian, so I'm used to going to church, and I would go to church every week. So I knew people, and people knew me. And then eventually, 7 months later, I think it was like July or August. No, it was August. It was after we had met. I think it was like shortly after we had met. I go to church this given day, and then I see this one guy, and it instantly hits me. It wasn't as strong as that connection I felt in the Olympic Village, but I can relate to that. It was like, whoa, who's this guy? I hadn't been attracted to many Asian people before. I think Asian people are so beautiful, especially the women. The women have some beautiful traits, but I hadn't really been like physically attracted or emotionally attracted to a guy before the way I was to that guy. And I was like, wow, I have never seen him here. Who is that one? But like, I tried not to pay attention to that feeling, you know? And then at the end of service, lots of people were going to him. He had his brother with him. We're going to him and talking. And I was like, okay, who is this guy? He's never been here, but everybody knows him. There's a story that I'm not aware about. So there was the pastor of the church that was sitting in front of me. And instantly he was like, Milena, you've got to meet that guy. He's been living in America for 7 years. He just came back home. I was like, that's explained. So when he left, he was little, and now that he's back, everybody's like, wow, you grew up and blah, blah. He has a great English. You guys are not going to have any language barrier. I was like, whoa, actually, that's been a struggle. So it's great to communicate with someone, you know. Good family. And when he said good family, I knew what he meant. You know, he already wanted to, you know, put us together. And I was like, no, I'm here for my 2.5-year contract. I'm gonna go back home. Actually, I was gonna go back to the States. I was like, I'm not here for getting, you know, romantically involved with anyone. But as he came, my heart started beating faster and faster. Long story short, he was in a relationship. I was kind of getting out of relationship myself too. We became close friends because he knew everything I was talking about. He understood me in so many different ways because he had a Western culture background that was very similar to mine. So I didn't have to explain myself. And at that point, I was going through depression. My mental health had suffered some, you know, hits here in Mongolia. He knew what I was going through. for other people, all they would tell me was like, "Oh, you're just missing home. You're just." I'm like, "No, no, no. Mental health is something more than missing home." So I could openly talk to him about it, and he was a great help. Fast forward to December, he's broken up, I'm broken up, and then I all the way kept saying, "God, no, I'm not here for a relationship, no." But every time we'd meet up for a project for church, or just like I would see him, he would come to church, I would smell his, cologne. I'll tell my friend, "He's here, isn't he?" And she's like, "How do you know?" And I'm like, "I can smell it." So it was just a really cool connection to him. And yeah, we started dating on Christmas Day, December 25th, 2017. So that's how I met my now husband.
So, yeah, you guys are married in Brazil, am I right?
Yes, correct. We
Mm-hmm.
went to get married in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
It was not expected. Again, as I said before, like I had been engaged before, so I knew where I wanted to go in life. I didn't want to spend time anymore with like dating here and there. I knew that my next relationship was gonna be the one that I was gonna be with for the rest of my life. And him too, he had been through some ups and downs, so he was ready for a commitment. So talking about marriage was something that we started doing early in our relationship. So a year later, I got to know that my school that brought me here, it wasn't like those big private schools here that provide everything, for the foreigners, that pay for their, summer, even if they're not teaching, that provide them a ticket back home every year. No, it wasn't like that. They didn't have that condition, but they did plan for me to go back home because, again, I was going through some really bad health issues. So like, I think it's better for you to just be with your family right now. So then it was actually my husband's mom who said, "Well, since you're going, why doesn't he go as well?" We were already planning the wedding for the summer of 2019. We were planning to get married here, and I was really upset because my family probably wouldn't come. It's just too far and too expensive, But I was like, well, it is what it is, I will just do online. So when she said, "Why doesn't he go and you guys get married there, and then we do something here later?" I was like, not a bad idea. So I just, I talked to my family, like, "I'm coming home, I'm gonna be with you." Everybody was so happy. And I'm not going alone. Jake is coming too. And like, wow. And we're going to get married. My family, "Whoa, are you pregnant?" Like the first reaction was like, how come? How come you guys getting married? But my family knew also. We had already been talking about, starting a family together. They were super supportive. My mom was the greatest wedding planner ever. I think from announcing to them we're coming until we actually said "I do" at the altar, it was like everything was prepared really quickly, and it was the best time of our lives. It was just so awesome to see my family getting to know him, my friends getting to know him experiencing a little bit of my culture. It was just awesome. It was so cool.
So I was talking to the American lady who married Mongolian guy. So from her observation, Mongolian woman marrying a foreign guy is judged very harshly in Mongolia. Is it like similar in Brazil? For example, Brazilian woman marrying a foreign guy would be judged by people. For example, in Mongolian guy marrying foreign woman would be okay, because I don't know why. And
I don't know. Yeah, that's something I had a hard time understanding, and I'm actually glad you brought it up, because I have friends who are married to Mongolian ladies. Both the guys are incredible people and the ladies are incredible people. So they are awesome couples. But they have suffered so much just for being married, the ladies especially, for being married to a foreigner. And I'm like, where does this come from? Like, why? Whereas for my husband, as a man who started dating a foreigner, it was like, wow, that's the way to go, dude. I was like, how do we balance, this doesn't sound right. So for Brazilians, we don't have this. Again, like, you could look like a Brazilian. A dark skin color person could look like a Brazilian, because Brazil literally is really diverse. We have the biggest population of Japanese people outside of Japan. So from there, we are used to Asian-looking people. We had so many slaves that like hundreds of years ago came from Africa. So we are used to, black people, and it's just a great mix. So if you're dating someone and eventually get married to someone that is not one of us, it's normal. And actually, it's like very well seen if you actually get married to someone that is not a Brazilian, to help spread, the genes around the world, kind of thing. So for me, it wasn't like we didn't get, like ugly looks on the streets, but I know people who have. So it's an unfortunate situation for people that I know, but personally for us, it hasn't been a problem, and I hope it won't be.
I think it's maybe because we are conservative country. Also, people are very patriotic and nationalistic way, especially in the Eastern countries. Russia and post-Soviet countries are similar.
And it's okay. I think you can have whatever ideas and beliefs you want, as long as you're respectful to the other one. As long as there's respect, you can think whatever you want, but just let the other one be. If it's not influencing you, if it's not affecting you, just respect, that's all.
So let's talk about food, my favorite topic. So how do you dealing with Mongolian food? Because we eat a lot of meat and a lot of mutton and beef, and also not that much food that's similar to Brazil. So let's talk about the food.
It was really hard. It was really hard because I grew up as a vegetarian because of my family. So I'm a fake vegetarian because I used to eat chicken as well. Never fish, never, like any kind of seafood, but chicken I would go for. So when I moved here, I was like, whoa, how are we gonna do this? Thankfully, for the school that brought me here, all of the meals provided were vegetarian. So the school wouldn't provide meat. So I was like, nice, at least at school, I'm gonna have nice meals. I'm not gonna have to worry about this. But going out, especially with friends, it was kind of hard to find a dish that didn't have meat. And I remember this one Brazilian friend saying that he went to the restaurant and he ordered a veggie soup. And the veggie soup came with like big pieces of mutton. And then he went to talk to the waitress like, hey, I ordered a veggie soup, sorry, vegetable soup. She was like, yeah, this is a vegetable soup. And it's like, but there's meat. She was like, yeah, but it's a vegetable soup. So like it was really hard for us to get used to, like meat as the main, ingredient in pretty much all of the meals. But eventually I got to know, the vegetarian places or the Italian places because I love pasta. So I think in the beginning, because everything was new, it was hard. But once you learn about the pizza places, once you learn about the pasta places, once you learn about the vegan places, there's a lot of options. That is something that actually hit me. In UB, there's options of food for everyone. Like, you'll not be starting here. You just gotta know the places, of course, but there's a great variety of food, and I like it. I miss fresh fruit, like just going in the backyard and like picking up mango from the tree or like papaya from the tree. I really miss like fruit, because unfortunately here the weather is not like favorable to that, but in other senses I am never hungry here.
I saw your Instagram story celebrating your first Mongolian conversation. So you've been here for 4 years, right? Why do you think it is so hard for foreigners to learn Mongolian and speak Mongolian? Tell us your experience.
Well, we, especially for Westerns, we come from countries that have Latin as, like the main language from which the other ones, derived from. So for us, we're used to the same kind of letters, the same kind of sounds, if not same, very close. But then you come to Mongolia with the Cyrillic alphabet that is completely different sounds that are very specific, like the letter L, Mongolian is. For me, it's really hard. I don't have that. So I think it's hard because it's different, and everything that is different is uncomfortable. It takes a while to learn. So I've been here for 4 years and I don't talk. I cannot carry out a conversation. And I know foreigners who can. And there are different, in my opinion, there are different reasons for that. I never took classes. I never sat down with a teacher to teach me, this is how Mongolian works, this is how the grammar works. Let's compare this to English so that you can understand what not to do, or of course what to do. So I never took classes. That makes it harder. I never needed Mongolian as like my main language. So I think if you put the Mongolian as a need, the need makes you learn it faster and more. But if it's not a need, other people speaking English to you all the time, you're just gonna be, too comfortable. You're gonna be in your comfort zone and never really learn it. Versus friends that I know who lived in the countryside with zero people who spoke English. So I think the instinct of survival hits more, and therefore they have to develop their language in a much faster way than someone that's been here for 4 years can. So I think it depends on the environment, it depends on the influence that you have, it depends whether I have access to books, for example, but it's not the same. It's just someone taking the books to learn Portuguese. It's not going to happen, or it's not going to happen as easy as if you have someone tutoring you. So I would love to be speaking Mongolian, yes, but to be honest, everyone that I went after for looking for Mongolian classes, they charge a really high amount for Mongolian classes. I don't know if it's just because we're foreigners or what, but like it is really expensive. And to be honest, I never really had the time to stop. I was always in a really busy schedule. But on the other hand, if I really needed it, I would find the time. And some people say, well, why don't your husband teach you? It doesn't happen, guys. Inside the house, for me at least, it doesn't happen. My father was an English teacher. He never taught me English. I had to learn from other people, So I don't know, for several different factors, it just never happened.
So I know a family, so their kids speak 2 languages growing up, right? Would that be your case, you think, maybe?
I think it's going to be okay, and it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. Portuguese is spoken in many different countries, even in the African continent. English is spoken, all over the world universally. Now, Mongolian, unfortunately, is only spoken here in Mongolia. So it's not like my kids are going to be able to take this language and, start speaking to people around the world if ever they go abroad. But since they're going to be living here, they need it for communicating. So I think they're going to be very equipped with whatever language they need to communicate for survival, for fun. And it's just incredible how their brains can, switch between languages. I had a friend, she's Brazilian, the husband is Dutch. So like on a dining table, they will be having dinner, same conversation, but she would be in Portuguese and he would be in Dutch, And the children would automatically just switch between sing or like, I don't know how to say yes in Dutch, but they would just like instantly be able to switch it. So like the brain is just amazing the way it can develop, like language learning in a very early stage. So that's going to be great for the kids, yeah.
So as an English teacher, how would you rate Mongolians' English level?
I've got to meet some incredible English speakers in Mongolia. Incredible English speakers. Some that barely have accents, One person repeatedly told me a couple of times that it doesn't matter if I speak correctly or not. As long as you can understand me, that's fine. And as an educator, I kind of have a hard time accepting that, If you're going to learn English, you've got to learn how the English speakers actually talk. If you're going to learn Mongolian, you've got to talk how the Mongolians talk. So Mongolians, I think they have some kind of, when we talk about language, it comes from even the development of muscles in the mouth, in, like your throat, that will either be a barrier for you to speak another language or that would be just easier. So I think the muscles for the Mongolian language, they are developed in a way that for English speaking is in a completely different way. So a lot of my Mongolian students, they have a really hard time with, for example, L, with, for example, P, They cannot say, for example, or I'm sorry, they cannot say photo, they'll say poto.
Poto.
Again, because the muscles haven't been developed. In terms of vocabulary, in terms of grammar, they are very good learners. I think they learn pretty fast. I just wish we had more time to actually, work on repetition, like really drill them to give examples, for example. But I've got Mongolians who just cannot do it. For some reason, it just didn't go forward. I mean, I have, again, more than 1 decade of English teaching, so I've taught all kinds of, students with all kinds of difficulties. For some reason, some of them, they just don't get it. But for others, it's really fast. So again, you cannot just say like, all Mongolians are very good or all Mongolians cannot do it. No, I think it's like very specific cases. You gotta say it case by case.
So you said that you met some people with a perfect accent, right? For me, it's always easy to identify someone which country is from based on their English speaking. For example, in Russia, they speak, I'm from Russia, something like this, right?
Yeah.
So in Italian, like, I'm from Italia, something like that. So is there a Mongolian accent like this? You could tell that this person is from Mongolia or something like that.
I haven't really talked to people from many different provinces because, again, like Brazil, we have different accents depending on the part of the country. Russia, the same, depending on the part of the country, you have a different, like, even, I don't want to say slangs, but like very specific words that you say that in other parts they wouldn't. Same for accents. So I to be honest, I don't think I can, and I am able to just say, okay, this is the Mongolian accent. I don't think I can.
Mm-hmm.
I could be unfair.
Yeah. So you've been here 4 years, and I bet you've been a lot of places. And what's your favorite place to visit? In summer. Maybe Huskul.
I have not been to Hufsgol yet.
Wow.
Can you believe it? For like several different reasons. Whenever we made plans to go, something happened and we had to change plans. For example, the pandemic, because it was a plan for last year. So it is still on my bucket list. But there was, I think, correct me if I'm wrong in the pronunciation, Irdenzu Monastery. It was this one place that I felt such peace visiting and walking around that I was like, I've got to come back to this place. So, here in Newbie, if you're talking about Ulaanbaatar itself, I love Ganden Monastery. I don't know if it's a monastery thing that I have that I'm thinking of, that always attracts me a lot. But Irdenzu Monastery was a place that I was so happy to visit, to see, to learn about. And it's a place that I want to go back to eventually.
What's your other places you want to visit?
Other than Hufsgol, I really want to go to Bayanulgi. I haven't been there. I would love to see the Eagle Festival, and I know it's such a different lifestyle that they live over there, so I'd love to go to Bayanulgi.
So Mongolian culture is based on nomadic, like herding, and also Buddhism. Buddhism is big here. So you're from a country that is, the main religion is Christian, right? Christianity. Yeah. So what cultural aspect do you like the most? Mongolian cultural aspect you enjoy the most, like the most?
I love that whenever my coworkers would get a chocolate bar, they would immediately break it up and start sharing with other people. Back home, to the majority, again, not all, to the majority of the people that I know, they would take, okay, thank you so much, put in the purse, and not because they want to be mean, but it's something that is automatic. Put in your purse, have it at home with your family. But here, no, it's again that thing of sharing, of getting the little that you have and making it multiply between, the people around you. I think that's very beautiful. Okay, cool.
Let's talk about football.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
When both of my parents, they are athletes. My mom, she used to play professional volleyball in Brazil. She was registered in the federation and so on. So sports has always been big in my family. And for me and my brother growing up, we were pretty good in anything that we tried. We would try soccer, we were good at it. We tried basketball, we were good at it. It was just easy for us. Maybe it was running in our genes because of our parents. But soccer, football for some, But soccer for us, I mean, it's the kind of sport that you would see, just like basketball is here, you know, in the Gary districts, there will be a hoop and you'll see people shooting. For us, it's that, but soccer. You know, in the richest areas of Brazil and in the very poor areas of Brazil, you will see someone kicking a ball here and there. So it is our national sport. It is a sport that everybody knows about. It is the sport that every Sunday people sit down in front of the TV to watch. I think it kind of brings a sense of community around soccer. I played soccer for many years for my school, and I was pretty good at it. I have to admit, I was pretty good at it. But lately, my husband has been really into soccer. So every afternoon, if our job is like, you know, kind of going slow, if we're done with our whatever we have to do for the day, we'll sit down in front of the TV and watch. There are a few Mongolian channels here that we can on cable that we can watch. So La Liga, you know, like Euro, everything that is on TV, we like watching together.
So football in Brazil is like wrestling in Mongolia.
Yes, you can say that. Yeah.
Yeah, we are huge wrestling fans here. So, so Tokyo 2020 or 2021 is coming.
Yeah.
So, what's your expectation from Mongolians and as a
From
sports?
Mongolians?
Yeah.
I have big expectations for the female 3x3 basketball. You know, I mean, it's the first Olympics where we are going to have 3x3. So it's already, you know, like history making kind of thing. And for Mongolian girls to have been qualified to go to these games, oh man, that's just going to be awesome. I'm really curious to see the Mongolian girls. I think even if, you know, they don't go to, you know, quarterfinals or, I mean, hopefully they will. But even if they don't, they can say, we've been to the Olympics. You know, we were the first Mongolian female basketball players to go to Olympics. That's just going to be awesome. That's going to be pretty cool. I'm excited to see that.
That's going to be awesome. And from us, we are expecting at least 4 or 5 medals in judo, shooting.
Shooting, yes.
Yes,
true.
shooting and boxing. But there's another Olympic in 1 year time, right?
The winter ones.
Winter one in China.
I don't like why. This is my question. Why do we not have so many Mongolian athletes in the Winter Olympics? I mean, here is winter for what? It's cold for like 6-7 months of the year. There's so much snow. I think there could be so much potential, you know, for winter athletes.
We actually never won medal in Winter Olympics. So I hope that will change in next year in China.
It's already confirmed in China, yeah?
Yeah, actually in 2008 in Beijing, we won our first gold medal. So next year is also in China, so we hope the same history will repeat itself, I hope.
Yeah, hopefully. Wow, that'd be awesome. And I think that's the beauty of sport, you know. You put the country into perspective, you know, for the whole world to see. I was working with Afghanistan in the Olympics. So the chef de mission for Afghanistan, you know, he was like making phone calls like crazy because Kabul, the capital, had just had like bombing happening. So he was freaking out that maybe family, you know, had been hit by bombs, and he was like halfway across the world worrying about, you know, performing well in the Olympics, but also worrying about the family. And then I got to talk to the girl. There was one girl competing. She was like, I am representing my country for the whole world to see that it's not only war that we have. We can have some beauty as well through sports. And that was just so beautiful, you know. She was super young, not even 22, 23, I think. And she actually hit the record for her category, for her country. So it was huge for her, you know. Ah, man, I don't know. We could talk about sports for like 24 hours and I would not be tired of it. There's just so many stories to tell.
Yeah. How have you been? The lockdown is just extended for another 2 weeks. How are you feeling about it?
Personally, I prefer. I think at this point we cannot play with the virus anymore, you know, so safety first. I think staying at home is the best option. Of course, we get bored. We are dying to go places, you know, just to the coffee shop, to, you know, I don't know, on a date with my husband to a nice restaurant, but those things will come. At the right time, they will come. So for now, I think we should stay home and stay safe.
So how are you spending your days, these long days?
I am also a journalist, so I decided during this pandemic I was going to interview people as well, because from back home, people don't know what's happening here and I don't know what's happening there. But what we know is pretty discouraging. So I decided to take this pandemic time to just have informal talks, just like what we're doing now, with incredible people from Brazil. I've been very fortunate to have some of them accept my invitation. So for the time that I'm not working, given our time difference, I'm doing interviews. So I'm being able to keep myself very busy. I'm not super bored, as I know other people are. So I'm just trying to make the most out of every, lockdown situation.
It's snowing outside, so I guess you don't get that much snow in Brazil. So how are you feeling about this weather?
I've been here, this is my 5th winter in Mongolia, so I'm already used to what this looks and feels like. But yes, in Brazil, because we're a tropical country, at the very bottom, at the very south of Brazil, we can get snow. We can.
Really?
It's not for it's not for months like in Mongolia. Come on, it's almost May and it's still snowing. It will be for a couple of days or a bit longer, maybe a week, like here and there, but it doesn't get like inches of snow like we get here. But I've lived abroad before coming to Mongolia, so snow is kind of already in my life. I am a big fan of snow if I'm indoors. If I have to go wild, like if I have to walk, if I had to run some errands, then I'm not a big fan of snow. But I just think it's beautiful. If you're staying inside, looking out through the window, everything white is just really pretty.
You just want like to watch it.
Yes.
Not like I feel it, okay.
Not feeling it.